Ben Burgess sat down with Anna Kasparian on the Young Turks to talk about Elizabeth Warren. As you guys know, the Working Families Party just endorsed her recently. And I want to make a point about healthcare and what he says about Elizabeth Warren's position regarding healthcare. Take a look.
Now, the National Director of Working Families Party, his name is Maurice Mitchell, says Senator Warren knows how to kick Wall Street kleptocrats where it hurts, and she's got some truly visionary plans to make this country work for the many. We need a mass movement to make her plans a reality, and we're going to be part of that work. And they've decided, you know what, we're not gonna sit around, we're gonna go ahead and endorse someone right away and start pushing hard. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, I think that's disappointing, and it's especially strange to me because one of the Working Families Party's big issues has always been single-payer health insurance, and Bernie is, I think, much clearer on that issue than Warren. She just finally put a healthcare plan on her website, and I was just looking at it. And if you look at the part that especially disturbs me about that, about mental health care, that makes it sound like that would be separate from whatever sort of Medicare for all thing she's endorsing. She talks about Medicare for all, and then she talks about affordable mental health care. And usually when I hear that word affordable about health care, I start worrying because that's kind of the buzzword for, it's still in the market system. We're just going to try to do some sort of cost control thing.
What he's saying here is, if you go on Elizabeth Warren's website and you look at her healthcare policy, the language is too vague. Elizabeth supports Medicare for all. Okay, it's in bold, but there's no link to Bernie's bill. She doesn't mention that she co-sponsored the bill. She doesn't bring up this bill, nothing. It's just in bold letters. What does that mean though? She says a public healthcare program. But there's no mention of single payer anywhere in here, which is the whole point, that it is one big network. Why doesn't she say that? How can you not be 100% surgically precise when it comes to something so important? A guarantee of high quality healthcare. Everybody's covered, nobody goes broke. What does that mean, nobody goes broke? Again, those are very two different things. Going broke and free at the point of service are two different concepts, okay? Let me give you an example. Again, I don't think that healthcare is a commodity. Healthcare is a human right. It shouldn't be in the market like a commodity. We're not talking about iPhones, but just for the sake of argument, if I go to get my car washed, okay, and I pay $1 to get my car washed, I didn't go broke, okay, because of $1, but it wasn't free at the point of service, which is how it works in the rest of the developed world, which is what is underlined in Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill, okay? So let's be very clear. Those are two different concepts. And the fact that she's using this vague language to kind of trick you into thinking that it's free at the point of service, which is what people assume, because this is what they come to understand under Medicare for All, is very disingenuous. Let's be clear. Elizabeth Warren is a senator. She's a lawmaker. She's running for the highest office in the country. She has very competent people on her team, a bunch of lawyers, a bunch of politically savvy insiders. They know what they're doing. When they word something a specific way, there is no mistake about what they are doing. They know exactly what they are doing. And when they use vague language, that is a bad sign. It's a bad sign because when it comes to something as important as healthcare, which is the number one issue on voters' minds regarding this upcoming election, you can't take a middle position. You have to be very, very precise about what you support and what you are going to get done. And when you say something like Elizabeth Warren, you say, I'm going to make healthcare affordable. That is not a clear-cut guarantee of universal single-payer healthcare, okay? Affordable could mean anything, okay? What does that mean? In the current system, 500,000 Americans go broke, they go bankrupt every year because of medical debt, okay, or losing their job because of medical issues. So what does that mean? Are you going to take that number down from 500,000 to 250,000? That would be more affordable, technically, but it doesn't give people universal single-payer healthcare coverage. It doesn't make healthcare free. And that's the issue with using vague language. And Bernie Sanders' bill says that when you go to the doctor, when you go to the hospital, The healthcare is free at the point of service. Okay, that means when you go to the doctor, when you go to the hospital, you don't pay anything. You pull out your card, and that's it, because you're already covered. It's universal single-payer healthcare. Everyone is covered in one giant network, and it's free at the point of service. Elizabeth Warren doesn't mention free at the point of service anywhere on her website. And it's really weird. She doesn't reference Bernie Sanders' bill, which he wrote. He wrote the damn bill. But she co-sponsored the bill. Elizabeth Warren is a co-sponsor of that bill in the Senate. Why isn't she referencing it in her healthcare plan? That's so shady. That's so unbelievably shady. If you partake in a project like that, why wouldn't you be proud and want to tell people that, yes, this is what I stand for. This is what I represent. I co-sponsored that bill. Why would you not do that? There's no justification for that. That is just shady as hell, man. That is so disingenuous. And this is why I don't trust her. This vague language is a trick that politicians use all the time. So when they don't come through on what you thought they're promising, they can be like, wait a second, I never said I'm going to do that. I said affordable. Affordable means anything. You see, the cost of prescription drugs went down by 1 cent. That's affordable. You only pay half an organ now when you go to the doctor, not a full kidney. You can't get behind politicians who aren't willing to fight tooth and nail to get something done. Bernie Sanders has been in support of universal health care since forever. I've seen a video of him from 20 years ago talking about why we need universal single-payer healthcare coverage.
In my view, if you want a simpler system, if you want a more cost-effective system, if you want a system that is comprehensive and that is universal, I think we have a lot to learn from the Canadian system, which provides comprehensive health care to all of their people without out-of-pocket expense. So I am one of the 89 co-sponsors of the single-payer approach.
Bernie Sanders, like I've said before, is a rock. When he says he wants this, you know he will always be for this, not anything else. Not anything else. Bernie Sanders will never change his position. He never had a different position. He will always be for Medicare for all, for universal coverage. And I know that if he gets into office, it will be passed. He will make sure that it is passed. Why? Because Bernie Sanders is genuine. He's real. He doesn't flip-flop or try to wiggle around or try to use vague language. No, he tells you, I'm for this, I will support this, and I will get this done. It's that simple. It's that simple. There's no doubt. There's no questions of loyalty. There's no questions of, is he really about that? Is he really going to come? No, we know what he represents. That's why the establishment and the media hate him. Because they know if Bernie gets elected, he's going to do what he says. And that scares them very, very much.
I have to be honest, I hadn't seen that she had put out her proposal for healthcare. I genuinely, and I'm naive, I genuinely thought that she was really signing on to Medicare for all. There were some shaky moments where her language wasn't as blunt as I would have liked it to be, but lately she made it appear as though she unequivocally supported Medicare for all, but I guess that's not the case.
Yeah, or at the very least that, that the plan makes it sound like whatever sort of Medicare for all plan that she's endorsing might not include mental health, which I think would be a really worrying omission.
And again, where it comes to mental health, in addition to the right to physical care, we must prioritize affordable, high-quality mental health services. Yeah, of course we should prioritize them. Are you going to support them in your Medicare for all plan? She doesn't say that. She doesn't say that I will cover therapy costs and drug prescription costs for mental health. She doesn't say that. She said we should prioritize it. What does that mean? Prioritize is a vague term. In what way are you going to prioritize that? Elaborate. Are you going to do what I just said you should do? What everyone assumes you're going to do? That you will cover therapy? That you will cover prescriptions for mental health? Doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. I'm not making this up. Go on her website and read it for yourself. How can she consider mental health a different part or exterior or something that's separate from Medicare for all? What part of universal coverage does she not understand? If I break my leg, I go to the doctor. If I break my arm, I go to the doctor. If I got kidney stones, I go to the doctor. All of it is covered. No matter what issue or what thing I got or whether it's mental health, it's covered. That's the meaning of universal coverage. It covers everything, all kinds of issues. Okay? Why would she put mental health? Why would she list that down as something different or something that's like not as important as the rest? This is really concerning, man. There is an unprecedented epidemic of suicide in the country, man. And I've covered this. I've said this a million times before. This is the #1 cause of death for men under 45. How the hell do you not think about that this is needed as part of your Medicare bill? This is insanity. It's really insane. You know that there is an epidemic going on. You know that there is the public health emergency. That the #1 thing that could kill men under 45 is suicide. And you think that mental health is just something that we can neglect and like, yeah, maybe put it in universal coverage, maybe think about it. You know, what? This is insanity. This is gross negligence. And it's just incomprehensible. I don't understand how someone who's running for president could just neglect this and not think that it's important when it's a public health emergency. There's 22 veterans a day that kill themselves. Okay, there's 140 men that kill themselves total every day. Hello? Do you not see what's going on? And again, this is so shady because she shouldn't have to like outline this as something separate. Bernie Sanders' bill, which again, she co-sponsors, says we are about universal coverage, including mental health. All of it is covered, okay? And again, this is very important. It's not just because of, oh, we have an epidemic where 140 men are fucking dying every day and killing themselves because of depression and anxiety and PTSD. It's not just that. It's that to treat mental health, you need therapy, you need medication. And a Medicare for All bill helps to cover these costs. Like I said, there's no mechanism under Obamacare to stop a company from jacking up prescription drug prices, which is what they did with the generic of Prozac a few months ago. They raised it by 300%. How messed up is that? This is the same thing as people who are diabetic. They know people need insulin and they don't care. They just jack the price up. They know that people who have depression need Prozac or antidepressants and they don't care. They just jack the prices up. And Elizabeth Warren thinks that this is not important and this is just something that's negligible. What the hell? This is just no goddamn way. Look, man, if you are running to be president of the United States, you need to be for Medicare for all. No bullshit, no flip-flops, no halfway measures, no. Universal, single-payer healthcare coverage, just like Bernie Sanders spells it out, all right? I mean, this is an easy cancel. Look, man, if you're making a list of who you should vote for, the #1 thing for you to be able to discard candidates right from the get-go is, do they support Medicare for all? And I mean real Medicare for all, like Bernie Sanders' bill. No vague language or smoke and mirrors or deceitful stuff. No, the real deal. Are they for that? Yes or no? And that's how you make your list. If they don't support it, you don't vote for him. Why? Because this affects everyone. Everyone needs healthcare. No one wants to pay more. I mean, who wants to pay more for the same healthcare? This is insanity. Like I said, man, Bernie Sanders is the real deal. There's no, doubts with Bernie. There's no questions. Is he really? No, you know what Bernie represents. And Bernie Sanders does not think that mental health is something exterior, something that's optional, something that should be separate from his Medicare for all bill. No, Bernie Sanders is for universal coverage. And mental health is a crisis that's going on right now. 140 men are killing themselves every day. 22 veterans take their lives every day. Do you not care about those people? How can you not care about those people? They matter. Mental health matters.
But I also think that like on an even deeper level than that, like let's say she is like all in now on Medicare for all. The fact that that there was this kind of rocky road to get there, that that she had to kind of be pressured on this in 2019 is itself worrying, because I don't see how we're getting Medicare for all. Achieving that involves going up against these vested interests that are so powerful. I don't see how we're going to achieve that without somebody leading the charge who's like 1,000% committed to it. And if you just kind of came on board and there's still maybe a little ambiguity around the edges, I just don't see how that could possibly be as good a bet for getting there than somebody who has been saying exactly the same things about this since the 1970s.
Like I said, Bernie Sanders has been saying this crap for decades. Since before I was even born, Bernie Sanders has been beating that same goddamn drum for Medicare for all. This is a pillar of being a progressive. You cannot flip-flop on this issue. And what he's saying is true. Okay? Elizabeth Warren, most of her positions are very recent. I mean, the fact that it took her this long to come out and support a Medicare for all is very shady, man. And even now, it's still not clear. We still don't know what she is supporting because her vague language is very unsettling. What am I supposed to say? How can I defend the indefensible? I can't defend this because when someone uses vague language, that's shady. Dude, if you're proud of something, if you support something vehemently with all your heart, you're proud of that, you say what you are for. There's no question. And we don't get that with Elizabeth Warren. I really don't understand all these people who are like adamant supporters of Elizabeth Warren. Like, do you not see that she is not 100% behind what you want? If you want Medicare for all, I don't know that she supports it because her website, her own website, uses vague language. And again, what we're saying about her just coming on board recently, there's stuff from just a few months ago where she's like, oh, well, there's many paths to Medicare for all. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Do you want to pass Obamacare 2.0, where we add a few more provisions and we make it a bit more affordable? And then maybe in 50 years, we'll have Obamacare 3.0, you know, where we make it a bit more affordable and a bit more AC. And then eventually, hopefully, in 1,000 years, everyone will have universal healthcare coverage. Is that it? Because, yeah, that's one way to Medicare for all, technically speaking, but it's not the one we need right now, is it? It's not the one that you co-sponsored, Elizabeth Warren, is it? Look, man, Elizabeth Warren is leagues ahead of the other candidates, okay? Like Beto and Biden and Amy Klobuchar, but she's no Bernie Sanders, okay? Again, I keep using this analogy because it's a perfect analogy. Bernie is a genuine Rolex and Elizabeth Warren is a convincing knockoff. The number one issue on voters' minds today is Medicare for all. It's healthcare. They want single-payer healthcare. This is even the preferred option amongst Republican voters. You could get Republicans to vote for you if you support this. Those people who swung the election in the swing states last time, who went from supporting Obama in 2012 to supporting Trump in 2016, those people donate the most to Bernie Sanders. Why? Because Bernie Sanders supports progressive policies like Medicare for all. He can win back those voters who flip-flopped in the last election. Is Elizabeth Warren really going to do that if she can't even... Here's the biggest issue when it comes to drug prices. She says Medicare should aggressively negotiate with drug companies. What do you mean should? Will it or will it not? Why is she using this vague language? Of course they should. Everyone agrees that they should. But will you do that when you're president? Then say it. When I'm president, under my plan, I will make sure that the government negotiates drug prices with big pharma, with pharmaceutical companies. I will negotiate prices. I will bring drug prices down because that is the law under my bill. She doesn't say that. She says we should. What kind of vague language is this again? And then she says we should crack down on rampant abuse of the patent and regulatory system. Yeah, where, drug companies, what they do is that they use public funding to research drugs. Then they take the patent and sell it back at like a billion times higher. Just price gouging people who are sick. Okay? This is not allowed in other countries. They don't do this because it's insanity. It's immoral. It's wrong. Other countries, other developed major countries don't do this. It is illegal. And what Elizabeth Warren says here, she doesn't say that she's going to make it illegal. She says we should. Yes, we know that you should. We should have had healthcare, Medicare for all in this country decades ago, but we don't. So will you do it? You need to make that precise. I can't believe that this is something that we have to break down and explain. And then she says, and we should import drugs from other countries that sell the same medicines and meet strong safety standards, which is what, Bernie Sanders was talking about, where he was going into Canada and helping elderly people get their insulin at like a fraction of the cost. Yeah, if they can't negotiate the prices, then they should be allowed to import the drugs directly from other countries where they're cheaper. But she doesn't say that she will do that and make it the law. Again, this vague language, man, this is just unsettling. That's the problem, is that if you would tell me that, oh, you're misinterpreting, That's already the root cause of the problem. There should be no room for interpretation. I shouldn't be allowed to misinterpret or interpret her words in any way, because she should be concise and precise in her wording from the beginning. And the fact that she is not as disingenuous, the fact that she does not say black and white clearly, I support Medicare for all, free universal single-payer healthcare coverage, mental health is covered, therapy is covered, prescription drugs are covered. The fact that she doesn't say that black on white shows that there's something up. It proves that she is shady and she cannot be trusted. And this is why you cannot support Elizabeth Warren if Medicare for all is a number one priority for you. You cannot. If you are someone who suffers from mental health, if you know what mental health does, if you care about that, you can't support Elizabeth Warren. You know why? Because she doesn't support you.